There are a number of demonstrations in support of Michael Brown and his family happening around the nation. What do you want the outcome to be, though? Because after the dust settles and the sun comes up, what's different?
The outcome should be that we want it to be known that we feel like the process that was used to decide whether or not to indict Darren Wilson was a false process. We feel like the prosecutor, Bob McCullough, really went out of his way to make it so that the verdict or the indictment could go in his favor and what he wanted. And he's playing with power and playing with people's emotions in that way. We'd like for the Department of Justice to step in and finish their federal investigation, and hopefully then an indictment will come forward in favor of the people.
So you really want to keep the national attention, the national effort on this case and this larger issue of the justice system and how it treats black Americans.
Exactly.
You're kind of an example of what seems to be happening with, I guess you could say, regular folks being pulled, compelled to demonstrate and participate because of Michael Brown. Just talk to me about how you even got involved in all this.
For hashtag It's Bigger Than You, I know that a number of us in Atlanta, after Mike Brown got shot, were looking for something to do, and one of our founding members stepped forward and put her own phone number out on Twitter and said anybody who wants to do something can meet me at the King Center. And she was only expecting...
The King Center, not too far from here.
Exactly, the King Center, and she was expecting 10 or 12 people to show up, and over 200 people showed up, which showed us that, a movement was possible, that people were really concerned.
And had you ever participated in activism before?
I had not, no. I mean, as a spoken word artist, I'm very much involved with issues, but I had always approached it more from an educational aspect. But now, now I'm seeing it more from a proactive activist aspect.
Now, I mentioned that we're not too far from where Martin Luther King the center is, where he was born, where he preached and many other things. He was a proponent of nonviolent resistance, but he did say the riot was the voice of the unheard. Are you concerned about the level of violence that we've seen in Ferguson and how others are fearful that these peaceful protests could spin out of control?
Well, I'm not really concerned because of the fact that, the police have used their extremely heavy hand in this scenario. I think they're going to make it so that it doesn't, quote-unquote, spin out of control. I would like to say that, there's been no violent protests in Ferguson. There's been peaceful protests, and the police have aggressed against peaceful protesters and made it violent. There's only so far that you can really press somebody's buttons before they try to defend themselves.
One other point I just want to get in before we run out of time, as far as the functional outcome of what you're doing, you are calling for black Americans to boycott Black Friday, the largest shopping day in the U.S.
Absolutely.
This Friday. Why?
Absolutely. Well, black Americans control $1.1 trillion in spending power, and we use it every year, part of it during Black Friday, to not support our communities. We're supporting a system that has clearly shown us that they don't believe that black lives matter. So it's time that we show them that we'll keep our dollars to ourselves and in our communities so that we can empower ourselves.